He received in the Tour of Germany last year. He's tried to come back, and in fact he snipped a win right out in February, but basically now he's trying to recover and do some personalised training to get back perhaps for the Tour de France.
Look at the speed here though, Phil, this is unbelievable. I remember I always used to love Paris-Roubaix, and I always used to get very psyched up for the event. And one year I actually was injured and wasn't able to take part in the race, and I decided, well, I'd bite the bullet and I'd actually go and see the bike race. And I was astounded standing at the side of the road at the speed, because actually in the race as a bike rider you don't really feel as if you're going very fast, but here you can just get an idea of what kind of speeds these guys are doing over the cobblestones.
Yeah, they're bouncing the way at a tremendous pace here, and one wonders sometimes how these bicycles do hold themselves together. And again, we join the tail end of the line as we look at it is a psychological point of the race, and they like to make sure they've got the race under control if they have ambition of winning. It looks as though Tom Steels has caused a little split there. Up comes Dmitry Konishev, joins them nicely, no problems. Marty's recovered from those cobblestones as well. He's going well. So too is Matt White. This guy, Paul, is such an enthusiast. He's got 120 kilometres still to ride. He's licking his lips. He just loves every minute of it, doesn't he? And good old Joly is back as well.
Absolutely. I think we just caught a glimpse there of Jackie Durand being pulled in by the main field, so that was unfortunate for him. He was in an ideal being pulled in by the main field, so that was unfortunate for him. He was in an ideal situation in that lead.
Freets, because they seem to, once Rabos have come off the front, the farm Freets have gone up to the front to say anything you can do, we can do as well.
Well, there's Johan Museeuw there wearing number 3. Number 1 is the honour of Andrea Tafia's last year's winner. Museeuw, I don't think, has actually shaved all week since the Tour of Flanders. It's actually an old wives' tale that a lot of bike riders still stick to. You know, you don't want to shave the last couple of days before a big event, because the old story is that if you do shave, it takes just a little bit of energy away from you, and that's why you see a lot of riders the morning of a big race not having shaved.
So that's Paul Sherwin's excuse. Anyway, as we now look at this little breakaway, driving on towards the Forest of Arenberg, that's the next stop. Robbie Hunter, far left of our picture. We've had quite a nice week, actually, because Robbie Hunter and his team have been staying in our hotel. We've been having our usual springtime jaunt with a small group of Americans, and we've had lots of time to have conversation with Robbie. Anyway, as we look at the riders now, steadily making their way towards the Forest of Arenberg, one man who will no doubt be there is Graham Watson, the great photographer and a good friend of ours.
Certainly knows all about the Forest of Arenberg, and I agree with him. This is the most important strategic point of the race to me. It's not exactly where you're going to win Paris-Roubaix, but so many bike riders in the past have actually lost it here. We're in the Forest of Arenberg, 2.4 kilometers. We have a leading group still of 6 bike riders. Jackie Durand has been blown away, and now we can see right on the front a good lead out here, in fact, by the little rider from the Bonjour team. This is Sébastien Joly setting the pace, and Marty Jemison jumping across to the side there to try and get a slightly smoother ride.
Well, a massive crowd indeed, very orderly now, because they put the barriers up the day before the race to keep them off the cobblestones. The last time check we got before entry into the cobblestones showed Laurent Debian 3 minutes behind, and the main field, Paul, at 4 minutes and 10 seconds. So it's quite a nice gap at the moment, and Tom Steels has been in this situation before, and he didn't get brought back.
Absolutely, he ended up finishing in 3rd place. A great ride by him. But you know, I think we will see that gap of 4 minutes come down pretty rapidly, because the main field, when they approach this point of the course here, Arenberg, they will pick up very quickly. We've already seen that the Farm Freets team are looking forward to moving their man Peter van Petegem close to the front, but also Johan Museeuw and André Schmeel will be looking at this place here to move forward and try and split the race up a little bit.
Approximately halfway down this sector of cobblestone, Sébastien Joly has tailed off the back here, leaving just 5 riders up at the front now. Still Matt White there, second from the end. Marty Jemison hanging on as well, as Tom Steels drives this race now. Right up in amongst the cars is Joly now. They've gone round him. He looked as though he was suffering when he came into the pavé here at the Forest. And now Tom Steels doing all of the work. You can just see Joly there onto the left of our picture, and he's having a much worse time of it here as he bounces over the cobbles.
Actually, Marty Jemison's having a pretty hard time as well. He's not quite on the back wheel there. Matt White with the yellow helmet there is just hanging on into 4th position, and Tom Steels has decided, right, if there's anybody weak in this breakaway now, I'm going to get rid of them. Completely dedicated, completely concentrated. He's not a time trialist, but for the moment, he's riding at his own pace, setting his own effort.
Marty is in trouble now. Latest from the field is the bunch is now at 3 minutes, so they've knocked 1 minute and 10 seconds off. as they approach the entry into the Forest of Arenberg, and here they are. So I think they might be even closer than that now.
Well, I knew they would accelerate over the last couple of kilometres. This is the chicane that's been constructed by the Society Tour de France to slow down the riders as we come in there. Right on the front there, we've got Museo there in about 4th or 5th position on the wheel of Peter van Petegem. All of the big stars moving to the front here. There's Frankie Hoy on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And that looks very much like Daniele Nardello, the rider from the Mapei, in first position.
Yes, as one or two riders had a rough ride there and got bumped out of it. If you notice, the Lamprey boys in trouble. Stuart O'Grady comes through. He's back in the field then because he had a puncture earlier on. As they now, it's every man for himself. Georgie Hincapie's just passed through. He's got a good position at the front of the peloton. So he's motivated and he's not making any mistakes yet. And it could be every reason to think the winner will come from this group. Salvatore Camesso is the champion of Italy with the green top to his jersey. Hoy's got the lead now at the front.
Well, Frankie Hoy having a good season already so far. You know, a lot of pink and white jerseys at the front too of the Telecom team. They are looking to try and keep themselves high in numbers at the front of this bike race as we return to the leading group, which is now down to 3 riders because Matty White is just getting tailed off the back, but Matty's going to dig deep. He's a courageous bike rider. He knows that this is a good situation to be in. He wants to try and keep himself in the front of the bike race for as long as possible. And Tom Steels has not asked anybody for an ounce of help, and he's just put the hammer down, and he's reduced this leading group now from what originally started off at 12 after 37 kilometres of bike racing down to 3.
Well, he's got rid of the boys. I'm not sure he's going to profit by that move as we come out of the cobblestones across the railroad crossing. 3 riders there. Matt White just hanging on by his braces, and I think the other 2 have gone off the back. As we go back to the main field now, they are driving on. George Hincapie's got himself right to the front. He's the team leader for the day, and he's now seeing his way clearly as Museo is sitting just behind him. And Museo knows all about George Hincapie. Taffy is off to the right of our picture. So the men that know just how important a good ride down the forest is are right there on the front.
And look at the chaos that this bike race causes here. This is what it's like if you're at the Met. A lot of these riders you can see almost giving up here. And once you do lose the power in Paris-Roubaix, you just cannot ride smoothly over the cobblestones. This is the chaos. This is the dust as we look now at the young man who was in that leading group. This is Sébastien Joly from the Bonjour team. And behind there, Phil, somewhere is a main field.
Well, I make him a minute behind now as he comes off the cobblestones. So that's how much time he's lost over a pile-driving Tom Steels. Just take a look at some of the fate. There's Magnus Bagstedt praying for rain for weeks, he says. Now he's going to have to pray for a chance to get back to the front because he is more than halfway down the field. Another bottle's gone.
This is chaos. Look how hard there's Jackie Durand just going through, so he is safely back in the main field. But you can get a chance to see just how bad those cobblestones are as the main field comes through. Taffy now is at the front of the group. He knows how important this Forest of Arenberg is. Georgie Hincapie right up there. You can see he's got the white arms there. He's rolled down his arm warmers that he was wearing this morning when it was a little bit cooler. So Hincapie, just like last year, is riding this bike race right to the front.
Well, Andrea Taffy driving on, gritting his teeth now. He never seems to save any effort for later. He gives it all every time he gets to the front. And George is right in his slipstream there, riding very well. Hoy goes over. Ballerini, I think, was bridging. Little small group trying to get off the front, but they should all regroup here.
Well, they should do, but one man who slipped away from the front there was, in fact, Johan Museo, leaving it up to his teammate wearing number 1.